Who gets to control the stories that we watch? Is it going to be Netflix or is it going to be Paramount? Well, we'll be delving into a story as to why Warner Brothers indeed is the last Hollywood gold mine that these two giants in the film industry want to wrestle for themselves. And this wrestling for the last Hollywood gold mine of a studio in Warner Brothers is indeed stirring up or shaking up the Oscar chances for some of Warner Brothers' highly anticipated films that is set to be nominated for the Oscars. So we'll be talking about that story as well. And also we'll be talking about the winners of the REFFA 2025 maiden edition film festival that was held about a week ago. So we'll be talking about all these stories and more right here on the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions, both from the African front and the international scene. And thanks for joining me for this episode. And it's indeed good to be back, as I've been away for quite some time from doing what we love to do, talk about movies and everything. And to as a way of explanation, I was working on a film project, not mine necessarily, but I was a crew member in an international project that I can't divulge information as a result of NDA. But indeed, it was a big project, and I was excited to be part of and parcel of that. And I worked on it as an AD, and it was indeed a great opportunity to have been part of it. So if you didn't see me bringing to you movie news and reviews and all that, that was indeed was the case. But now I'm back, and hopefully I'll not be going away for quite a long time before perhaps any other project comes up. So thanks for joining me, and I'm happy for the support that you have been giving me all over the months throughout this year. So let's delve into the stories for today. And there are quite some exciting stories. Some of them you've already heard. And we are going to cover stories from the Warner Brothers Discovery bid that Netflix and Paramount are, battling over. Even though clearly, David Zaslav has, as a result of the round of bids ending, they've gone into an exclusive negotiation with Netflix over their 82 point something million billion, sorry, 82 point something billion bid that they have, have won over Paramount. And it's quite interesting. We'll also be talking about the story of how this particular, wrestling between Netflix and Paramount for Warner Brothers is stirring up the high chances of Sinners, Ryan Coogler Sinners and Paul Thomas Anderson's one battle after another, increasing their chances of potentially winning the Oscars. And this is as a result of history happening, which happened in 2018, a similar event happening. So we'll be taking a look at that one as well. And REFFA, that is the Regal Film Festival Awards, which was held in Ghana, in Accra, just this past weekend. Uh, saw a number of films across Africa and beyond, win a number of awards at this prestigious and international film festival event. So we'll be taking a look at all these films that won, and we'll talk more about it when we get there. So delving into the very first story, as usual, we have the Warner Brothers bid. And if you're a film fanatic, or if you love films and you love your movies, I'm sure you've already heard about this news, where the Warner Brothers went into an opening, bidding opened up for studios or those who are interested in bidding for the Warner Brothers Studios, and they settled on Paramount. And eventually, it also we also ended up with the idea that Paramount is now bent on having a hostile takeover their studio, citing situations of perhaps uh, things that I can't explain. But it did indeed caused a lot of uproar, but it looks like even with their 108 billion dollar bid for the entirety of the studio and not just the split, it looks like David Zaslav has still turned them down, and Warner Brothers doesn't want. I mean, they don't want to have any of it. So it looks like even from this very picture, which I think was taken just a couple of days ago. That's David Zaslav and the co-CEOs, that's Greg and Ted, taking a tour of the entire, Warner Brothers studio lot. So it looks like David Zaslav is really happy with what Netflix is offering. Bear in mind, Netflix is just in for the main studio and the streaming platforms that they have together, perhaps with the games and everything. They are not too much interested about the what's it called, the cable networks, that is CNN and Discovery and other parts. And for those of us who have been following keenly, we all know that come April of next year, they're gonna split the main studio, the entire studio, into two, where you're gonna have the Warner Brothers Discovery, that is the film studio division, and the TV division of HBO, HBO Max, and others be on one side, and we're gonna have Discovery, CNN, and other properties of the WDBD, that is WBD business, also on another side. So, and Netflix, is cool with that, and obviously it's going to happen before, finally, if everything goes through in terms of the regulatory supervision to make sure everything is done according to the law. Obviously it's going to happen before, October, when finally Netflix gets to buy Warner Brothers as a property for themselves. So it is a great deal for, I mean, for Warner Brothers, if you take a critical look as to the deal, even though the Paramount has, pushed up the amounts they are now offering compared to what they offered previously, and I'm sure that was the conversation. A lot of film enthusiasts and people asking that if you could offer this much money, why didn't you do it quite early? And it looks like David Zaslav is not having any of it, particularly looking at the routes at which the Paramount executives are trying to push or go about in wanting to, take over Warner Brothers at all costs, and that is something I'm sure David Zaslav and the board, and perhaps the stakeholders of this business may not be interested in, because if they split the companies into two, the likelihood of it being more valuable is high. I mean, talking about the discovery part, and David Zaslav has been known to be the suit who can indeed uplift the value of whichever company you give him authority over, and can sell it for top dollar. So it looks like David Zaslav indeed is the best person to have made this happen. And Ted Sarandos and everybody, I mean, the two main studios are really indeed bent on getting them. But it looks like now Netflix is clearly in the lead, and Netflix is what WBD wants. But let's ask ourselves the question: why is, what's it called? Why is Paramount so eager to want to get WBD for themselves? Well, that can be seen in this graphic, which can be found on the Hollywood Reporter website, where in terms of the article, and we are talking about major properties. I think as it stands now, the only property or studio that has IPs that rivals that of Warner Brothers is Disney. Warner Brothers, as you know, has the Wizarding World, which has to do with the Hobbits, and then you have the DC property together with the other major, franchises that you can ever think of. Also, you know that when you go to the, the HBO side, they have a roster of films or TV properties that are, amazing, to look at. We talk about Friends. I don't know. Friends is one of the Warner Brothers television, and but they also have the Game of Thrones property, and the other several spin-offs that they are also bringing about. And when you take a look at all the properties they have, it is indeed amazing. It's mind-boggling. And definitely Warner Brothers, comparatively to what Paramount may have, it dwarfs what Paramount has. Yes, Paramount has the Mission Impossibles and the Star Treks and everything. But what Warner Brothers, I mean, that is what Paramount has. But what Warner Brothers have actually, dwarfs anything that Paramount has. And as it stands now, Paramount is losing Taylor Sheridan, the the Yellowstone, what's it called? The Yellowstone Helmer into, I think, NBC Universal, which is a very lucrative offer that they have given. None of us actually know the reason why perhaps they couldn't keep Sheridan on board, even though now they have the Duffer brothers and some interesting people coming onto their turf. But as it stands now, it looks like David Ellison would have really wanted this Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers division, I mean, the Warner Brothers Discovery property as a whole, as a result of the IPs they do have. So, indeed, when you take a look at all the what's it called? When you take a look at all the IPs that Warner Brothers have, it looks like obviously this may be the reason why where Paramount is eager in getting this particular property for themselves, because they are, I mean, the Warner Brothers studio is the only studio with the largest remaining massive trove of iconic IP in Hollywood. And no wonder Ted Sarandos and David Ellison are indeed battling for this property. And I can guarantee whoever wins this very treasure trove of IPs indeed will be the one to contend or to contest or contend fiercely against Disney. And obviously, I don't think Netflix is going to relent on this. On already, they are in the exclusive negotiation with Warner Brothers. So clearly they are in the lead. And looking at how, for several occasions, David Zaslav has rejected the offer being given the David Ellison, until maybe unless any regulatory thing stops them from going ahead with the deal, it looks that obviously the Netflix has this offer. They have Warner Brothers Discovery, and David Zaslav is really happy with them. So obviously, when all things being equal, if the regulatory commission do not see anything wrong with it, it looks like Paramount has it, and sorry, it looks like Netflix has it, and that is the deal. And we are not just talking about the IP properties that they have, but talk about gaming. The kind of gaming titles that they have is amazing. It's one of the biggest you can ever think of in the world, if not the biggest. And Netflix have not been so keen on their gaming division or gaming properties as well. Maybe this may be a reason for them to sit up and go like, no, maybe we need to take our gaming, side very serious. So it will be quite interesting to see how things evolve when finally October comes around and we get to know whether finally Warner Brothers is going to be sold to Netflix or not. But as it stands now, it looks like Netflix has it, and with the way the Ellisons and Paramount are perhaps pushing for a hostile takeover from Netflix, I don't think even the stakeholders on the board of Warner Brothers, including David Zaslav, who is quite happy about it. So we are yet to see what will transpire when October comes around, but it looks like Netflix asset. The only concern that has been with a lot of creatives, particularly in the Hollywood industry, is the fact that would Netflix actually, allow Warner Brothers to be its own entity and have its films released in the cinemas, or may siphon a lot of the properties to stream on their platform. And Netflix, as we all know, is the largest streaming platform in the world, even though they've been just a little over a decade in existence. And it's quite amazing what they have done. But apart from a few properties that they have, like Stranger Things and what they've been able to do with Wednesday and what's it called? The K-pop Demon Hunter, which actually isn't even it's not even their property. I think K-pop Demon Hunter belongs to Sony, whereas MGM owns the Wednesday property, which is the Beetlejuice franchise. So it will be. Uh, I may be mistake. I think Adam's Family franchise. Pardon me, Adam's Family franchise. So it may be quite interesting to see what they will do with it. But it looks like David Zaslav has stuck. I mean, in recent times, he was actually invited to attend an event in France where he was at a Canal Plus studio event where they were talking. They interviewed him, and he sort of reiterated that he's going to leave the Warner Brothers films to be in the cinemas, and will not change the theatrical window, opening windows for the films by Warner Brothers. So that sounds good, but as to whether that will be the reality, it is something we are yet to see. But we would hope that that would be the case. And from what he said, it looks like perhaps that indeed might be the case, as he admitted that what they know how to do well is streaming, but when it comes to the theater, to be specific, they really don't have much experience in it, even though they've dabbled in it a little bit. But with Warner Brothers becoming theirs, I think from what he's saying, he would want to keep it as it is and see how that works out. But we would all hope that that would be the case, so that certain titles of films and properties that Warner Brothers are over the years, over a century, have been entertaining us with, will still end up in the cinemas, and yes, finally end up on HBO Max, or now be Netflix's or would be Netflix's property come October. They may even want to show it on Netflix. And there are several articles that shows that if David Zaslav goes as expected, particularly with the wider reach and marketing push that they have with Netflix, it would even help certain properties like even DC, contend or contest fiercely against their Marvel rivals. So a lot may seem to work well with Netflix if they indeed plan to let Warner Brothers operate as it is. Yes, definitely they will have an oversight over what they do there, but hopefully, when they allow things to go the way they are declaring or saying now, it may indeed prove to be a formidable force in the Hollywood and the film industry at large. As for Paramount, if they get to win this as well, I mean, if they even have a slight chance of winning it, I'm sure they're going to take it. But obviously, they know the value of Warner Brothers. That's why they are keenly fighting for it, and perhaps um, they only understand what that means. But from the list or from the articles that I will leave in the description section below, you can read it and realize that, listen, indeed, Warner Brothers Discovery is a major treasure trove of a studio that any other film studio, if they can afford, would want to buy it. So let me know what you think in particular with this story. Is it better for the future of movies if a streamer like Netflix or a traditional studio like Paramount wins Warner Brothers? Should our favorite franchises be owned by one or two mega companies? Personally, I would have wished that it would not be owned by any of them and Warner Brothers would have thrived and make it work. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So let me know what you think as you leave your comments in the comment section, or your thoughts in the comment section below. And with regards to this story happening as a result of Warner Brothers and Netflix fighting for the treasure trove of IPs of Warner Brothers. Well, it looks like this is directly impacting my next story, and that has to do with how their tussle or struggle or tug of war is perhaps bringing more attention to two of Warner Brothers, you know, highly anticipated films at the Oscars. And I'm talking about none other than Ryan Coogler's Sinners and Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. And this article, as well as usual, can be found in the Hollywood Reporter, and they speak about why perhaps history is likely to repeat itself when finally this comes around. And a similar event happened in 2018 when Disney was trying to acquire 20th century, then 20th century Fox, of which Fox Searchlight was a part of it. And at the time, Guillermo del Toro's film The Shape of Water was released under the Fox Searchlight banner, and it went on to win two accolades at the Oscars. And I'm talking about it won for the best director and also the best picture for The Shape of Water. And the conversations or the discussions around it is that it was more of a, for lack of a better word, a pity win rather than deserving of it. Because when you read the article says that it is one of the weakest wins in the Oscars race. As to whether that is the case, well, that is the opinion. So let me just read a little bit as to why they think that is the case. So it reads that awards voters. Let me just take the title: How corporate drama is making Sinners an Oscar favorite. So let's go on to read just a couple of the articles. It says that awards voters can choose a top winner for many reasons beyond the work itself: social justice for Moonlight, religious mea culpa for Spotlight, military guilt, The Hurt Locker, and feeling bad for Ben Affleck, Argo. That's quite a, a low blow. Anyway, but what has taken shape in the past 2 weeks as Netflix and Paramount fight to take control of Warner Brothers, who check a much rarer box on list, rewarding the company about to get devoured. On Wednesday, the latest round in that bout unfolded as Warner Brothers Discovery formally rejected their Paramount offer of $30 a share, likely leading to David Ellison Company unleashing another higher priced haymaker north of that $108 billion figure as he tries to pry it from Netflix. But all of that drama just benefits the contenders who have movies at Warner Brothers. So indeed, it is getting quite exciting how all this is shaping up to be. And per precedence, the theory is that the corporate drama is actually garnering sympathy votes for the Sinners, as well as One Battle After Another, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, with Sinners directed by Ryan Coogler. But I think that perhaps, per the article, just as I said, perhaps rightly so, maybe The Shape of Water wasn't a strong contender that year in 2018 to have won the Oscars that year. But it looks like this year, One Battle After Another and Sinners indeed is a strong force to contend with in all the projections that have been made over the couple of weeks and months. These two films seems to be way ahead, even ahead of Hamnet, ahead of other films, Train Dreams starring Joel Edgerton and other films. I think even Joel Edgerton's film is not really said to be in the contention for Best Picture. But all these two films in particular, Sinners, as well as what's it called? And not One Battle After Another is said to be indeed a film deserving to be nominated, and perhaps rightly so, deserving also to win the the Oscars if they are nominated. And so I don't think sympathy votes will be the case. I don't know how the Hollywood system works, I must admit. So perhaps that is what makes it work that way. But regardless, I think sympathy vote for whether one battle after another, all sinners. If that happens to be the case, well, maybe so be it. But I think at the end of the day, I wouldn't want that to be the case. I want um, these films to win fair and square based on their merits rather than sympathy votes. Because I think Ryan Coogler and Paul Thomas Anderson have worked really hard to make that happen. And both filmmakers indeed when nominated to the best director category would be deserving of them. But I think all of them, whoever wins indeed, actually may be deserving of the award as they've continually churned out such excellent films, both critically with audiences and critics alike, and also be particularly with Ran Coogler, his films have been box office hits. In terms of astronomical box office hits, as we saw, what's it called? Black Panther become, cross the $1 billion mark, and even the the sequel to it, that is Wakanda Forever, still making a good box office returns, even though it didn't have Chadwick Boseman in it, and the T'Challa character in it. So obviously, Ryan Coogler and Paul Thomas Anderson are both deserving of the Oscars when finally it comes around. And I'm hoping sympathy votes will not be what would get them to win, either of them to win, because they are worth their salt and they have paid their dues for such. And I think they should win on merit and not on sympathy. But how Hollywood works is something I'm not, I don't understand because I'm outside even America, let alone talk about Hollywood. So I may not understand how that works. But I'm happy that at least their efforts is being recognized. But key to it is how interesting this race is going to be because both films actually comes from Warner Brothers. So now it will behove on them to market them equally and fairly. But I can't tell how they're going to go about it. But getting to the Oscar season, it will be quite interesting to see how they pump up the promotion for these films as they lobby for any of them to win. And it looks like perhaps the marketing push is already happening as cinemas will be getting back into the IMAX cinemas to be screened again. So it'll be quite interesting to see how things also pan out for one battle after another. And that'll be quite interesting to see. And I'm happy that these films are going to be nominated for sure. They're going to be nominated for sure. As to whether Vancouver gets to win over Paul Thomas Anderson, well, we are yet to see how that would work out for them. Well, whatever the case may be, let me know your thoughts. Should artistic awards be influenced by real world corporate battles? I don't think it should be the case, but well, whatever you think, let me know. And also, if you were an Oscar voter, would this drama affect your ballot? Well, I can answer that right now for you. For myself, definitely not. I would vote based on how good these films perhaps are way over the other films that have been released this year. There are quite some great films this year. I must admit, great films this year. But it looks like these two really stands out well. And kudos to Pam Abdi and Michael De Luca for believing in these filmmakers and making this happen. So whatever your thoughts may be with regards to this story, kindly leave it in the comment section below. And then we move on to our very last story. And if you are an African, I'm sure you are proud of seeing African films from all over the continent being honored and celebrated at the REFFA Awards. And I'm talking about the Regal Film Festival Awards that was held um, last weekend, and it saw the likes of films from across Africa with Burna Boy's production Three Cold Dishes, and the Fisherman. a film that I was privileged to work on, as well as the third AD to work on this production. Was it the third AD? Second AD, yeah, yeah, second AD. Pardon me. But I had opportunity to work on these productions, and indeed, it was quite an honor and a privilege to have been part of the production. And thanks to Kofi Owusu-Efri, the producer, and Zoe Martinson, as well as Corey Jackson and Kin Lu for giving me the opportunity to work on this project as well. So, well, let's talk more about the award scheme. And these two films won big. They were the highest. I mean, they won the highest number of awards at this event. And listen, you need to watch them yourself to judge whether these films were deserving of it or not. But one thing I can tell you for sure that indeed it did make people happy when they watched it, and they were excited to have been at the event. Well, let's take a quick look as to the films that won big at these events, and let's see what happens. So, in the in the GH Movie Freak website by one of Ghana's leading film critic, Tony Ansakuma. Well, let's take a look at the top, the films that won big at the event. And after that, I'll summarize the list of films, the films that these two major, the awards that these two major films won. So the very first, the full list of REFFA 2025 winners is as follows. Best Short Film, Rise from Zimbabwe. And we have Best Documentary, Beyond Olympic Glory, Nigeria. We also have Best Animation, The Guardians, The Chosen Ones from Ghana. We have Best Student Film, Ebu from Ghana. I hope I pronounced that right. Best Actor Male, Ricky Adelayita, The Fisherman from Ghana also won. Or we also have Best Actor Female. This category win is what I honestly don't understand clearly. But you have the three leading actresses in the film all winning for this particular uh, category. So we have Fat Turi and Osas Igodaro and Maud Guerard winning for three cold dishes. You have Best Supporting Actor Male, Clemento Suarez, Last Stop from Ghana, winning. And also Best Supporting Actor Female, Mercy Aigbe, My Mother is a Witch from Nigeria. Most Promising Actor, Maud Guerard from the Three Cold Dishes, Nigeria. Best Child Actor, pardon me, Sikaniso Ingwenya from Rise, Zimbabwe. Achievements in costume design, you have Joanne Natenge winning for Karamoja from Uganda. And also you have achievements in production design from Asef Oluseyi, Three Cold Dishes from Nigeria. Achievements in sound, we have Andrew Ahura, Three Cold Dishes, Nigeria. And I think I skipped one, pardon me. I skipped achievements in makeup. We have Alakpa Iduo Gengne, My Mother is a Witch, Nigeria. Visual achievements in visual effects went to The Fisherman, and we have Dari Amai Shelton, Nuruddin Tahiru of The Fisherman, and also we have achievements in cinematography, Casey Obia Julu of Three Cold Dishes, Nigeria. Achievements in editing, we have Jasmine Way, The Fisherman, Ghana. Achievements in screenplay, we have My Mother is a Witch, Nigeria. Achievements in directing, we have Osef Oluseyi from Three Cold Dishes, Nigeria. Best picture went to Three Cold Dishes again, Nigeria. Best Ghanaian film went to The Fisherman. And best African language film went to Karamoja, Uganda. So all in all, I mean, congratulations to all these winners for such a marvelous win, for a yeoman's job that they have done. But in all, you had we had what's it called, the Fisherman winning for four categories, whereas the Three Cold Dishes produced by Grammy Award winning artist Burna Boy winning six. is it 6 or 7? I think 7 awards, winning 7 awards. So congratulations to all of them, to the Fisherman, and to Three Cold Dishes and all other films that made it big at the REFFA Awards. And indeed, at the right time, I think there's a lot more that I would want to talk about. Seeing that the Vice President of Ghana was at this event and also gave some encouraging words to filmmakers and investors alike as to what they should look out for in helping build the Ghanaian film industry. So we'll be talking more about this. And pardon me, it looks like my internet is breaking. It's not really buffering well enough to keep my presentation as smooth as I would have wanted it. But pardon me for that. So that wraps up the major stories for the day. Let me know what you think. Which is more important for growing film industry? Big festival wins, but in a strong local audience. What kind of African stories do you want to see reach a global streaming platform? Whatever the case may be, can leave it in the comment section below. And today being a weekend, a Friday, particularly in this festive season of Christmas, definitely I'm not going to leave you without telling you the films that are screening or that would be screening in the cinemas this weekend. So, starting with the cinemas in Ghana, we now go to the Silverbird website to check the films that will be screening over this weekend. So the SpongeBob movie Search for SquarePants will be actually screening on Boxing Day after Christmas, so December 26th. Anaconda, starring Paul Rudd and Jack Black, would also be streaming on Boxing Day 26th as well. So we also have David, an animation adventure, will also be screening on December 26th. We have Song Sang Blue, same December 26th. But on Christmas Day, we're going to have The Funeral of Kwade, a Ghanaian film, which stars a couple of people that I know personally, and both behind the camera as well, would also be screening at a silver bed, and make it a point to go support this film. Let's support Ghanaian films. So please do your best to be in the cinema to watch The Funeral of Kwade, such an exceptional movie as well. We have Avatar Fire and Ash, the James Cameron film with a runtime of 3 hours 15 minutes, is screening today. So make it a point to go watch this spectacle of a film, a visual effects feat that you need to watch this festive season. So make it a point to go and watch it as well. You also have A Very Dirty Christmas starring Iniedo, and there's a whole story about it that I'll treat hopefully next week, if I'm able to do a story tomorrow. Tomorrow. But it is quite an interesting title for a film, A Very Dirty Christmas. Definitely, I think it's going to be a comedy. Well, the genre here indicates otherwise, an action drama, but it sounds like a comedic title. But whatever the case may be, we'll be watching it as well. So behind the scenes, it's a film which will be screening. I'm sorry. So A Very Dirty Christmas has already started screening in the Silverbird cinemas. Started on December 16th, so you can make it a point to go and watch it as well. Behind the scenes also will be is another Nollywood film started screening from the December 12th of 2025. Pets on a Train is in the cinemas. Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Zootopia is still in the cinemas. Stitches by Shirley Frimpong Manson started screening from November 28th. Make it a point to go and watch it as well. Wicked for Good is still in the cinemas. You see me, now you don't. Also screening as well, and a whole roster of other films as well. So do make it a point to go to the cinemas and watch any of these films. So now moving on from film screening in Ghana to now the world, let's take a look at the Rotten Tomato websites and take a look at the films that are screening the world over. Just make sure you take a look at a theater that is near you and see whether any of these films are screening. So we have Avatar Fire and Ash, and looks like the Rotten Tomato score is dropping further than anticipated. But well, the question now would be whether it will still make its $2 billion mark compared to the other two films, and it looks like projections seem like it's going to be doing same. And this just the critic tomato score. We are yet to see what the audience are going to say about this film as well. The Housemaid is also, or has already, also will be releasing today as well. A SpongeBob movie, Search for SquarePants, is gonna, release today. Is this thing on? David, Mission Santa, and then we have a Hindi movie, Ba Ba Ba, and the voice of Hind Rajab, with a 94% critic score. Actually, I started screening already. Miracles, the case for Miracles, and the Sense and Sensibility will be screening as well. So there are a whole roster of other films in here that you can take a look at. I'm going to leave all this in the description section below for you to take a look at and choose which film would suit your fancy that you would want to watch. And also soon, I've come to an end of another exciting episode of the Film Mandate after quite a long break. Pardon me for that, but I'm grateful that you've joined me for this episode of the Film Mandate. And let me know what you think about all the stories I've been talking about, and whatever your thoughts may be on everything that I'm doing here, and things that suggestions you may have. I'll really very much appreciate it. So also soon I've come to an end of this excited episode, and thanks for joining me, and I'll be coming your way with another exciting episode soon than you think. My name is Papa O2, and this has been the Film Mandate. I'll see you soon.